Namaskaram. Today I'm going to be talking about the 12th paragraph of Nāṉ Ār. This is a very short but sweet paragraph, and in 3 short sentences Bhagavan says a lot. In the first sentence he says, kaḍavuḻ-um, guruviṉ-aruḻ-pārvaiyil, uṇmaiyil, vēṟallar. That means God and Guru are in truth not different. The word he uses here for God is kaḍavuḻ, which is a very nice word in Tamil. What the etymology of this word, means is a verb meaning to be. Kada means transcending. So kaḍavuḻ implies he who it implies kaḍavuḻ-um or kaḍavuḻ-um, he or that which exists transcending. So it is that which is beyond everything, but at the same time it's one substance of everything. It's not, the one substance of everything isn't implied in the word, but it's according to Advaita philosophy, God is both. God is our own true nature, which is both beyond all appearances, subject and object, and is also the one substance of everything. That is, it is ekam eva advaitam, one only without a second. So in a sense, kaḍavuḻ is a word that means God, but it refers to God as Brahman, as the one absolute and infinite reality. So God and Guru are in truth not different. That is, though Guru appears in human form, Guru is not a human being. Guru is nothing but God himself. And it's not necessary, Guru doesn't necessarily appear in the form of Guru. For Bhagavan, his Guru was Arunachala, not a human form, but a Guru in the form of a hill. But for most of us, Guru has to appear in human form, in order to give us teachings to turn us back within. In this sentence, Bhagavan talks about God and Guru, but he also often said God, Guru, and Self are one and the same thing. That is, Guru is nothing but God, and God is nothing but our own real nature. What we actually are, that is God, and that is Guru. So Guru and God, or that is not Guru and God because they're one and the same thing. But we can, because we've got 2 words, we can refer to them as they always exist and shine in our heart as I am. That is our fundamental awareness of our own existence, Satchit, which is that which is always shining in our heart clearly as I am. That is God and that is Guru. So this oneness of God and Guru and of our own real nature is a fundamental principle of Bhagavan teachings and indeed of all Advaita. So we shouldn't look upon Guru as a mere person, though in our view, Guru seems to be a person. Bhagavan seemed to be a person. He was born on such and such a date at such and such a time in July 1896. At the age of 16, he had an intense fear of death, and he turned within and merged back and became one with his source. And from then onwards shone as Bhagavan Ramana. And then after 6 weeks or so, he left Madurai. He traveled to Tiruvannamalai. He spent the next 54 years in Tiruvannamalai. For us, this is the story of a person. That is Bhagavan, but Bhagavan is so much more than that. As Bhagavan often said, I am not this body. Don't look upon me as this body. When his body was nearing death and people were weeping and everything, he said, he said, why are you weeping? Because Bhagavan, you're leaving us, you're going. Bhagavan said, where can I go? I am always here. What does he mean by here? He doesn't mean just in Tiruvannamalai, although of course Bhagavan is very in a special way, he is present in Tiruvannamalai because that is where he lived. That's where his body, that's where his body has been interred. And Bhagavan is one with Arunachala. So Bhagavan is always present in Tiruvannamalai, but he is kaḍavuḻ-um. He is that which exists, transcending everything. So he is in no way limited to Tiruvannamalai. He exists at all times and in all places, but beyond both time and space, beyond both time and place. And he is present most especially in our heart as I am. If we are to find him as he actually is, we need to follow his instruction, the term within. All Bhagavan's teachings from the beginning, from the time when he started teaching to the end, his central teaching is turn within, stop looking outward, look within. What is real can only be found within ourselves because we are that. So Bhagavan, though he appeared in human form, he is so much more than the human form that he seemed to be. And this is important because in most sampradayas, in most traditions, there is a lineage of gurus. After one guru dies, another guru is appointed as his successor. This is not necessary in Bhagavan's path. Firstly, because Bhagavan pointed out the guru is ever present. If we want a guru in form, the guru is ever present in form as Arunachala. So rather than appointing a successor, Bhagavan pointed us back at his own guru, Arunachala. Also, Bhagavan, that is the function of the outward form of the guru, of the human form of guru, is to give teaching in words. Bhagavan has given us all the teachings that are required. It is up to us now to follow those teachings. So we can't get anything from any other guru. Not that there are other gurus, because guru is, just as God is one, guru is one. So from any other name or form, a guru may appear in other names and forms, but we can't get anything from any other name and form, but we cannot get from Bhagavan. That is, Bhagavan has given us the essence of all spiritual teachings. Of course, there are many different types of spiritual teachings are given. They are applicable to people, not to people, to us at different stages of our spiritual development. But now we've come to Bhagavan, this is the ultimate teaching. The ultimate teaching is stop looking outside, look within, find out who am I. That is the end of all spiritual endeavor. That is to turn within and merge back into the source from which we've risen. So the teachings Bhagavan has given us, they are the ultimate teachings. There are no teachings beyond that. So there's nothing that we can get from any other guru that we cannot get from Bhagavan. And if we want direct guidance, Bhagavan is ever shiny in our heart as I. So just like God never dies, Guru never dies. Bhagavan is ever shiny in our heart as I. He is that which, he is kaḍavuḻ-um. He is that which exists transcending everything. So he's present in all times and in all places. So that's why Bhagavan never appointed a successor. There's no lineage in Bhagavan's in Bhagavan Sampradaya, because Bhagavan is the sole guru. What Bhagavan means, Bhagavan Arunachala Ramana. Arunachala is Ramana, Ramana is Arunachala. Though the forms are two, the reality is one. So that's one thing. The other thing is, Bhagavan says God and Guru are in truth not different. As I said, he often used to say God, Guru and Self, because who is Guru? He clarifies this in Upadesha. Who is God? He clarifies this in Upadesha. In verse 24 of Upadesha, what Bhagavan says is, Irakum ekayal isa jivagal, oru porale ava undipara, upadi unavei verundipara. That means by existing nature, God and soul are just one substance. Only adjunct awareness is different. That is, the existing nature means what we actually are is only being. Not that is, as jiva we rise, but our real nature is not rising or doing anything. Our real nature is just being. So in our being nature, in our existing nature, that is in our existence, in our nature as Sat or Ulladu, that which is, we and God are just one substance. That one substance is only that, what he referred to in the previous verse as Ulladu and Unavu. Ulladu means what exists, and Unavu means awareness, in the sense of pure awareness in this context. So he said what exists is awareness. So that what exists is Sat, what awareness is Chit. So Sat is Chit and Chit is Sat. And he ends that verse 23, by saying, Unave namai ulam. Awareness alone exists as we. So what we actually are is only awareness. And that awareness is Sat. That awareness is what actually exists. So in our real nature, we are nothing but Sat Chit. So in that, our real nature as Sat Chit, we and God are just one substance. That is, what God actually is and what we actually are is only that Sat Chit. But when we rise as ego, when we rise as jiva, we are wrongly aware. Instead of being aware of ourselves as just I am is Sat Chit. Instead of being aware of ourselves as just I am, we're aware of ourselves as I am this or I am that. I am this body, I am this person, I have such and such a name, and so on. That is, we have identified ourselves with a set of adjuncts. Our awareness of these adjuncts as ourself is what separates us from God. So what Bhagavan means by upadhi unavu is indirectly here referring to ego. Ego is that false awareness which is aware of itself as I am these upadhis. The upadhis are the body, which consists of 5 sheaths. That's the physical form of the body, life, mind, intellect, and will. These 5 sheaths are the adjuncts with which we've identified ourselves. And so long as we are identified with these 5 sheaths, we seem to be something separate from God. God, after all, is infinite. We, as this small person, are finite. We are born at a certain time. We're going to die at a certain time. We are occupying only a small space on this planet, in this vast solar system, in this still vast galaxy, in this still vast universe. We are, in terms of time and space, we are insignificant, whereas God is the one reality of all these things. So we seem to be different from God because we've assumed these adjuncts, but what we actually are is God. So when Bhagavan says in this 12th paragraph, God and Guru are in truth not different, though he doesn't explicitly say here, he implies here God, Guru, and Self are in truth not different. That we have to understand. And he often said that explicitly on many occasions. So in this first sentence, Bhagavan is revealing what is the real nature of Guru. Guru is it's not a mere person. Guru is that all-transcending reality, Kadando Lavan, he who exists transcending. God and Guru and kaḍavuḻ are not different. It's a very beautiful word, that Tamil word, kaḍavuḻ. It's a word Bhagavan often used. Because it's not pointing at any personal form of God, it's pointing at the all-transcending nature of God, God as he really is, as Brahman. So that's the first sentence. In the second sentence, Bhagavan gives us a very, very great assurance. What he says in the second sentence is, he gives an analogy. Guruviṉ-aruḻ paṭṭadu, evvāṟu tirumbādō. What that means is, just as what has been caught in the jaws of a tiger will not return, or will not, that implies will not escape, he doesn't, it's often translated as the prey in the jaws of a tiger. Of course, that's what's implied, but he puts it in a very impersonal way. That what has been caught in the jaws of a tiger is all he says. Just as what has been caught in the jaws of a tiger will not return, avvāṟē, in exactly the same way, guruviṉ-aruḻ-pārvaiyil, paṭṭavargaḻ. Those who have been caught in the glance of Guru's grace. So the glance of Guru's grace he's comparing to the jaws of a tiger. Avarāl rakṣikka-p-paḍuvarē y-aṉṭṛi, y-oru-k-kāl-um, kaiviḍa-p-paḍār. So those who have been caught in the look of Guru's grace will never be forsaken, but will surely be saved by him. This is Bhagavan's great assurance to us. Y-oru-k-kāl-um means even at any time at all, kaiviḍa-p-paḍār will not be forsaken or abandoned by him. He will never let go of us. Even if we let go of him, he will not let go of us. And he says, rakṣikka-p-paḍuvarē, that means protected and saved. It has both the meaning of protected and of saved. That rakṣikka-p-paḍuvarē y-aṉṭṛi, it's a very forceful way. He will surely be saved. And except that he will surely be saved, or y-aṉṭṛi can't really be adequately translated in English. It's got much, in English we can put but it has much greater force than that in Tamil. It's a very, he completely rules out the possibility that we could ever be, it's a way of emphasizing that we will very certainly be saved by him and will never be forsaken. One thing that requires clarification here, he says guruviṉ-aruḻ-pārvaiyil. That literally means in the look of Guru's grace. It can also mean in the gracious look of Guru. Some people may take this to mean the Bhagavan's physical glance. That is, when Bhagavan was present in the body, those who were fortunate to be in his physical presence, they were seen by him. So they were. So we can take his that physical look to be the look of his grace. But of course, his grace is not limited to his physical form. So rather than taking it to mean the look of his physical eyes, look at the look of his eye of grace. So how can we know that we've been caught in the look of his grace? The very fact that we have been attracted to him, that we've been drawn to his path, that we take him as our guru, that we at least have some little liking to follow his teachings, to understand them more, to put them into practice, that means we've certainly been caught in the look of his grace. The very fact that he's entered our life, that he's attracted us to him, means that we've been caught in the look of his grace. So we are the prey in the jaws of the tiger. We can never escape. We can struggle if we like, but he's not going to let go of us. However, Bhagavan is a very gentle tiger. He's a tiger who strictly adheres to the principle of ahimsa, non-harming. So he will never swallow us until we are willing to give ourselves wholly to him. That is why he says in the next sentence, the concluding sentence of this paragraph, after giving us of this assurance, we will certainly be saved and never forsaken. Actually, just one thing about the previous sentence. The main verb is will never be forsaken, and surely be saved is a subsidiary clause, but the two together form the whole. The emphasis on they'll never be forsaken, and they will surely be saved. But how will we be saved by him? There's one condition he puts. That is, he will never forsake us, but what he says in the final sentence is, eninum guru kartiya varipati tavarādu nadikavendum. What that means is, eninum means nevertheless, guru kartiya vari, the path that Guru has shown. Varipadi means in accordance with the path that Guru has shown. Tavarādu, unfailingly, without fail, nadikavendum. It is necessary to walk unfailingly in accordance with the path that Guru has shown us. So, why did Bhagavan after giving us such an assurance, why did Bhagavan then qualify it by giving this caveat? Nevertheless, it is necessary to walk unfailingly in accordance with the path that Guru has shown. As I say, though Bhagavan is the tiger of jnana, he is a very gentle tiger. He will never swallow us until we are willing to give ourselves entirely to him. So, why he hasn't swallowed us yet? Because we haven't yet surrendered ourselves completely to him. So, why is it, having come to him, why have we not surrendered ourselves? Because we still have so much liking for other things. That is, in order to surrender ourselves completely, it is necessary to let go of everything. That is, surrender. The term Bhagavan often used is Atma-samarpanam. That means self-surrender. Atma there doesn't mean our real nature. Obviously, we can't surrender what we actually are. What we need to surrender is this false Atma, what we now take ourselves to be. That is ego. So it is the path that Bhagavan has taught us is the path of surrendering ego. And surrendering ego entails surrendering everything, because everything else depends for its semi-existence upon our semi-existence as ego. That is, all other things, the world and our entire life of this person, all of it exists only in the view of ourself as ego. As Bhagavan said in the first verse of Ekamma Panchakam, Tanne Marundu, forgetting oneself, Tanuve Tanai Enni, thinking a body alone to be oneself, Ennil Piravi Editu, taking innumerable births, Irudi, finally, Tanne Onandu, knowing oneself, Tanai Ār, becoming oneself, Ulaha Sanchara Kanaviṉ Viritale Khan. That is only waking from a dream of wandering all over the world. So when all this entire world is just a dream, according to Bhagavan, it all seems to exist only so long as we are dreaming. So forgetting what we actually are and taking a body to be ourselves is a dream. And in this way, we undertake innumerable births, dreaming one dream after another. But eventually, when we know what we actually are and remain as we actually are, that's what Bhagavan means. When he says, Tanai Ār, it can mean becoming oneself or being oneself. Obviously, we cannot become what we actually are. It implies remaining as we actually are, being as we actually are. That is waking up from like waking up from a dream. When we wake up from a dream, we can't take the dream world with us. We have to leave the dream world in order to wake up from the dream. So everything that we have in the dream, all our possessions, all our friends, all our relatives, everything, we have to leave them. Just as at the time of death, we have to be separated from everything. At the time, but the mere death of the body is not the final death, because so long as there's ego, it'll be continuing to dream one dream after another. Each life is just a dream. So the innumerable births that Bhagavan refers to in that verse are just a long succession of countless dreams. But in order to wake up from all these dreams, we need to know what we actually are and be what we actually are. When we know what we actually are and be what we actually are, that is giving up everything. As Bhagavan says in verse 26 of Uṇmaiyil, Ahandayundayin anatumundahum. If ego comes into existence, everything comes into existence. Ahandayin drel indru anatum. If ego doesn't exist, everything doesn't exist. Ahandaye yavamam. Ego itself is everything. That is it. Everything. The dream is nothing but the dreamer. That is what the dreamer is seeing. What the dreaming mind is seeing is only itself. It's seeing itself as a dream world. So as ego, everything that all phenomena perceived by us, we are seeing ourselves as all these phenomena. These phenomena are nothing other than ourselves as ego. That's why Bhagavan says ego itself is everything, because nothing has any existence independent of ego. It borrows its existence from ego. So what everything actually is only ego. And if ego investigates itself, it will find that what it actually is just pure awareness. When ego sees itself as pure awareness, it ceases to be pure awareness. That is why in the final sentence of that verse 26 of Uṇmaiyil, Bhagavan says, Āvarāl yadu idu endru nādale ovadul yavamena or. Therefore, know that investigating what this is giving up everything. So when we investigate this ego, we are not only surrendering ego, we are surrendering everything, because nothing exists independent of ego. Nothing other than ourselves, nothing other than what we actually are, exists independent of ego. So in order to be swallowed by the tiger, we must be ready to surrender ourselves completely. So why are we not ready to surrender ourselves completely? As Bhagavan said in the previous two paragraphs, which we spoke about in the last two sessions, the main obstacle we're up against, that's obviously the ultimate obstacle, is ego. Ego is what stands between us and knowing what we actually are, because ego is nothing but that false awareness, I am this body. So if we shed the adjuncts, this body, and hold only on to I am, ego will dissolve back into its source and remain just as I am. So ego is the problem. But why as ego are we not willing to let go? Because the very nature of ego is to hold on to other things. As he says in verse 25 of Uṇmaiyil, urupatri undam, grasping form, it comes into existence. Urupatri nikam, grasping form, it stands. Urupatri undumika ongam, grasping and feeding on forms, it flourishes. Uruvittu urupatram, leaving form, it grasps form. Teidinal otam pidikam, if sought, it takes flight. So what is Bhagavan talking about here? He says in the final line, Uruvatra peya hande, this formless phantom ego. That the ego has no form of its own. It's a mere phantom. It's got neither substance nor form of its own. It borrows its substance from Satchit. So ego seems to exist. It seems to be aware. But its existence and its awareness is not its own existence and awareness. It's what it's borrowed from Satchit. Satchit is what is always shining within us as I am. So it borrows that existence and awareness from Satchit, from I am, and it borrows form from the form of a body. That's why Bhagavan says, grasping form, it comes into existence. That is, as soon as we rise as ego, we project a body which we grasp as ourselves. And we continue holding on to that. So long as we continue holding on to that body, ego continues standing. So grasping form, it stands. And then through the five senses of that body, we project this physical world. And within the mind of that body, we project the mental world, all of which consist of forms. Forms here means phenomena, anything other than ourselves. Ego is formless. All forms are other than ego. So grasping anything other than ourselves, that is the nature of ego. So since this is the nature of ego to grasp other things, as ego, we have very strong inclinations to grasp other things. Those inclinations to grasp other things are what are called Vishaya Vasanas. So long as our Vishaya Vasanas are strong, we are not going to let go of everything and surrender ourselves completely. This is why Bhagavan says, it is necessary to follow unfailingly the path shown by Guru. As he said in the previous 2 paragraphs, we have to persevere in this practice ceaselessly until we weaken the Vishaya vasanas sufficiently in order to turn our entire attention within. That is, in order to weaken the Vishaya vasanas, we need to turn within. But to the extent that our Vishaya vasanas are strong, to that extent, our turning within is only partial. In order to turn within completely, in other words, in order to turn a full 180 degrees away from all phenomena, away from all forms, back to face ourself alone, to be ahamukham, as Bhagavan said, I-ward facing us, I alone, in order to become fully ahamukham, fully inward facing or selfward facing, we need to let go of everything else. So the more we try to turn within and hold on to I am, we are slowly weakening our hold on other things and strengthening our hold on I am. Our hold on I am is what is called satvasana, the inclination just to be. And our hold on other things are what are called Vishaya vasanas. So our hold on other things is being weakened, or rather, more precisely, our inclination to hold other things is being weakened, and our inclination to hold ourselves is strengthened. That inclination to hold ourselves, satvasana, is what is otherwise called bhakti. And letting go of other things is what is called vairagya. So bhakti and vairagya are the key to this to success in this path. But how do we cultivate bhakti and vairagya? Only by following this path. The more we follow this path, the more our bhakti and vairagya are strengthened. The more our bhakti and vairagya are strengthened, the more we'll follow this path. So it is absolutely essential that we follow the path that Guru has shown, that we, no matter how many times our attention is dragged outwards or under the sway of its Vishaya vasanas, we have to turn it back within again and again and again. We have to be relentless in this practice. Then only we will succeed. Bhagavan said, nobody has succeeded in this path or in any spiritual path without unceasing effort to turn within. This is the key to success in this path. So Bhagavan has said here, we have been caught in the jaws of a tiger. By being caught in the look of Guru's grace, we've been caught in the look of the tiger. But how does Guru's grace work? Guru's grace is not something that descends from heaven or comes from outside. It is Guru's grace is to be found in our own heart. That is, the function of the outward form of Guru is to turn us within. But to the extent we turn within, we are thereby opening our heart to grace. And that grace which is in our heart will surges forth and will eventually swallow us. So this is the path that Bhagavan has shown us. So Guru's grace works not from outside, it works from within us. Of course, Guru's grace also worked from outside by appearing in human form and giving us these teachings. This is the outward manifestation of Guru's grace. But the real work of grace is within our own heart. So how does grace work? It works by giving us the love to persevere in following this path. So though having been caught in the look of his grace, we will never be forsaken and will surely be saved by him. He saves us by giving us the love to follow this path. So how do we yield ourselves to that love that he has given us? It may seem to us that we've got only very little liking to follow this path. We've still got such strong Vishaya vasanas. We've got very little liking to follow this path. Doesn't matter. He's sown the seed of love in our heart. We have to nurture that seed by at least trying little by little by little to follow this path. So if we surrender to him, he will do everything for us. But we have to surrender. In order to surrender, we have to be willing to let go of everything else. And how do we let go of everything else? Only by holding on to I am. This is what Bhagavan makes clear in the next paragraph, which I'll be talking about next time. That is in the previous two meetings, I talked about paragraphs 10 and 11, where Bhagavan emphasizes that the problem is our Vishaya Vasanas, and that we can overcome Vishaya Vasanas only by clinging to I am. So that is the path of Vichara. But Bhagavan has said there's also the path of surrender. So what is this path of surrender? In the next paragraph, he makes it clear the path of surrender is actually nothing but this path of vichara, because the more we cling to I am, the more we're letting go of everything else. So what he says in the first sentence of the next paragraph is, he defines what does it mean, surrender? What does surrender mean? He doesn't use the word surrender here. He talks about giving oneself to God. So what is giving oneself to God? He answers very simply, Atmanishta-paranai iripade tannai isnuku aripadan. Being as Atmanishta-paran is giving oneself to God. What does Atmanishta-paran mean? It means, Atmanishta means, Nishta means steadiness or firmness. So Atmanishta-paran is one who is firmly established as oneself. Being firmly established as what we actually are. So how can we be firmly established as we actually are? Bhagavan has revealed it in the first part of this sentence, in which he says that there's an adverbial clause before Atmanishta-paranayiripate. In that adverbial clause he says, Anma chintane tavira, vera chintane kalambaradu satram idam kadamal. That means, accept Atma Chintana, giving not even the slightest room to the rising of any other Chintana. Chintana means thought, so Atma Chintana literally means thought of oneself. It implies self-attentiveness. So what he implies here is we need to cling to self-attentiveness so firmly that we thereby give no room to the rising of other thoughts. What does he mean by not giving room to the rising of other thoughts? Other thoughts can rise only if we attend to them, because thoughts arise only in our awareness. So if we don't attend to them, they cannot rise. So if we cling to self-attentiveness so firmly that we thereby give no room to the rising of any other thoughts, we are thereby established as Atmanishta-paran, as we actually are, and that is giving ourselves to God. So Bhagavan is saying here, how to surrender ourselves completely? The answer is the same as how to investigate ourselves. Cling to Atma-chintana, to self-attentiveness. Only by clinging to self-attentiveness can we let go of everything else and thereby surrender ourselves completely. And only by self-attentiveness can we know what we actually are. So this is Bhagavan's path. So this is the path that he refers to when he says, Eninum guru kate varipadi tavarada nalikavendam. Nevertheless, it is necessary to walk unfailingly in accordance with the path that Guru has shown us. So in this paragraph, Bhagavan gives us a very great assurance, but also he doesn't he makes clear that we have to play our part. What is our part? To try our best to follow the path that he has shown us. What is the path he has shown us? The path of surrender, to give ourselves entirely to him. How can we give ourselves entirely to him? Only by clinging to I am. Only by clinging firmly to self-attentiveness can we thereby give ourselves to him. And when we give ourselves to him, then the tiger will say, this prey is nice and mature now, nice and tasty. Now it is fit to be eaten. Until we are ready to surrender ourselves completely, we are not yet fit to be swallowed by the tiger. The tiger will not let us go. He will never let us go, but he will wait for us to become mature. But he's not going to just wait quietly, waiting, or when will this jiva or this ego become mature. He will be prompting us from within to turn our attention back within. and thereby slowly, slowly weaken our Vishaya vasanas and become more and more willing to surrender ourselves completely. That willingness to surrender ourselves, that is the key. That is why Bhagavan often said, Bhakti is the mother of jnana. That is, we can never succeed in this path without all-consuming love, to know and to be what we actually are. So it is essential that we follow this path. So Bhagavan has given us a great assurance, but he's also made clear that we also have to play our part. Why is that? Because Bhagavan is nothing other than our own self. His grace is nothing other than the love that we as we actually are have for ourselves as we actually are. So we need to yield ourselves to that love by turning within, by loving to be as we actually are. We are yielding ourselves to that infinite love which we call his grace. So Bhagavan's teachings are so simple, but he makes it clear we have to follow the path that he has shown us. There's no way around it. If we don't follow it today, we'll have to follow it tomorrow. If we don't follow it tomorrow, we'll have to follow it the next day. Sooner or later, we have to follow this path. So let us start now. In this connection, Sadhu Om used to tell a very nice, he used to tell a story to illustrate the importance of beginning to practice the path that Bhagavan has shown us. That is the story Sadhu Om used to tell. There was a very poor Arab. He was a poor merchant. He used to go to bigger towns and buy goods of various sorts that were needed in the villages. And then he would go from village to village selling these items he had bought in the town, and thereby he made a small profit, and that was his livelihood. And his only worldly possession was the clothes he stood up in and his camel, because in order to carry the goods, it was a camel who carried the goods for him. So this was his life. Every day he and the camel would be walking in the desert. And in the desert, it will be very, very hot during the daytime, but at night it will become very, very cold. So when the sun set, before the cold sets in, the merchant would set up his little tent, and he would get inside. He would tie the camel to a peg outside, and he would get inside his tent and sleep. One night, it had been particularly hot during the day, and it was particularly cold at night. So he snuggled up in his cave, in his little tent, feeling cold but wanting to sleep. He dozed off. After some time, he woke up and he found the camel's nose was in the tent. And then he thought to himself, yes, poor creature, he's been carrying all this burden in the hot sun in the daytime, and now it's very cold outside. So let it at least have its nose inside, so it can keep, at least its nose can be kept warm. And it's so thinking, he fell asleep. After some time, he woke up and the whole head of the camel was inside. Again, he thought along the same lines, let it be. The next time he woke up, not only the head, but the 4 feet were also in the tent. And finally, when he woke up in the morning, he found that the camel had occupied the whole tent and he was outside. Sadhu Om used to say, we should allow the camel's nose of self-attentiveness to enter our life. At least a little, we should try to practice this path. If we allow the nose in, soon the head will follow, soon the feet will follow, soon the self-attentiveness will take over our whole life and we'll be pushed out of the picture. So having come to Bhagavan, we have to make at least some effort to start on this path. The more we try to follow this path, the more the love to follow it will increase, and the weaker our Vishaya vasanas will become. So the less we will find our mind being dragged out. That is, still the mind will be dragged out because the Vishaya vasanas are still there, but we'll find a greater and greater willingness on our part to hold on to I am as much as possible. That's all we can do. That's all Bhagavan asks us to do. Let us try our best to walk unfailingly in accordance with the path that he has shown us. And his assurance is, we will never be forsaken. He will surely save us. He will never forsake us, even if we don't follow this path. But sooner or later, we have to start following this path. So let us allow the camel's nose into the tent. Let us begin at least with a little self-attentiveness. And the more and more, the deeper and deeper we go in this path, the more and more the camel will occupy the tent and will be pushed out of the picture. That is what Bhagavan means by walking unfailingly in the path that he has shown us. So we all have to try our best to be self-attentive. When to be self-attentive? There's no special time and no special place, because we always are clearly aware I am. So whatever else we may be doing, whatever circumstances we may be in, we can remember that I am, which is ever shining in our heart as I. As he said in the previous paragraph, Oruvan tan sarupa vaṛayil, and until one attains one's own real nature, nirantara sarupa smaranaye kaiviḍa-p-paḍuvarē. If one clings to uninterrupted self-attentiveness, nirantara means unbroken, uninterrupted, swarupa smarana, remembrance of oneself. In other words, self-attentiveness. We cling to uninterrupted self-attentiveness, y-aṉṭṛi podum. That alone is sufficient. So what Bhagavan is asking us to do is actually something very, very simple. No rituals are required, no special place is required, no special time is required, no asana, no puja room, nothing is required. All that is required is that we try to hold on to self-attentiveness. Now, please, we try to remember that which is always shining in our heart as I am, that fundamental awareness of our own existence. That's all we have to remember. Try to hold on to that. That is following the path that he has shown us. So we need to follow this path unfailingly, and he will surely save us, because he is the supreme reality. He is kaḍavuḻ-um, that which transcends everything. And he has been so kind to appear to us in the beloved form of Bhagavan Ramana, in order to give us these teachings, in order to turn our attention back within, and so much encouragement he gives us to follow this path. If we read his teachings, what is he repeatedly stressing? Turning within, trying to hold on to I am. This is what all his teachings are pointing only at this. So following this path is so, so, so important. And that's all he asks us. He will take care of everything else. All we have to do is to cling unfailingly to I am, to that self-attentiveness. We have to try to be self-attentive as much as possible. Of course, we will fail time and time again. But when he says walk unfailingly, he means persevering in trying. The road to success is paved with failure. We have to fail many, many times in this path until we succeed. But what he means here by paṭṭadu is without giving up. Giving up is the true failure. So long as we're continuing to try, we haven't failed. We may fail many times, but that failure is all part of the process. Inevitably, so long as we've got strong Vishaya-vasana, inevitably our attention will be drawn out, and we will find ourselves attached to this and wanting that, and all these things. They'll all be there. Doesn't matter. To whom are all these desires? To whom are all these attachments? We have to turn our attention back to ourselves again and again and again. No matter how great a sinner we may be, as he said in the 10th paragraph, however great a sinner one may be, if instead of lamenting and weeping, I am a sinner, how am I going to be saved? If one completely rejects the thought that one is a sinner and is steadfast in self-attentiveness, one will certainly be saved, or uru-pārvaiyil means one will be reformed. That is, we will be transformed into our real nature, what we actually are. So Bhagavan has given us so many assurances, but he's also made clear that we have to play our little part by trying our best to be self-attentive.